Hello everybody, welcome to the Matuska Taxidermy Studio Thursday Live. I'm here again with Amber Engels, Brett Wingfield, Jocelyn, our camera lady, who just had a birthday recently that we celebrated, Kirsten, Mandy Swart, and we just want to welcome you all to our studio again. And I got to start out really appreciating all the people that tune in, because I mean, we go down the street, we have people stop and say, oh my gosh, you know, I saw what you did and things like that. I was at a birthday party the other day, and I mean, not to mention any names, Tyler and Casey, but some people can't watch us during their regular jobs, and they actually take their phone to bed and watch us in bed. And that's, you need a life. I
don't know if that's where she said she was watching it, but she did say on the kid routine and drop-offs, she was definitely tuning in.
Anyway, we appreciate no matter where you watch us or when you watch us, you know, we really appreciate you tuning in. And we have a lot of people that don't know anything about taxidermy that find as much enjoyment in this as the taxidermists that we hope we're helping out. Last week, sorry, and last year. Last week we kind of did a tour of the shop, and we had a whole lot of projects going on. We usually have multiple projects. We'll work on one and put it into a drying motion and move on to the next one and move on to the next one. And sometimes, you know, a customer will give a call and they want us to move a little more rapidly, so we'll get one out. So anyway, that's what we did last week, and we showed you, I think we were working on a couple fish. We got this nice northern pike finished, painted, put it on one of our nice habitats for the wall. And that's one of our custom pieces of driftwood with the rocks, and we really like this viney stuff. And this stuff is so easy to work with. It sure beats going out and finding a piece of wood.
Oh, gosh.
And
nice and lightweight.
Oh my gosh, lightweight. Especially, these are both this trout and this northern pike are lake country reproductions, and they're made out of resin, epoxy resins, and they're heavy. And you get a fish like that, and if that were a real piece of driftwood, you'd have a 35-pound mount on the wall, which you want to make sure that it's on there securely. But with this lightweight recreation driftwood, it comes painted for you. You don't have to paint it. You can touch it up if you want to, but it already looks realistic. Brett put the rocks down there, all the foam rocks that we carry in the supply company, as well as our little viney thing just for additional window dressing. And so we got that finished that we were working on last week. Here's a really nice rainbow trout that we're shipping out. I actually had to uncrate it because last week I mentioned I would show it to you before, and this is a good thing for you to know too. Inside of all of these driftwood pieces, in the back of them, is a 5/8 inch piece of plywood. So it's really nice and sturdy that you can connect with. And we just laid that fish in. Brett measured up that fish and gave it to our woodworking shop down there, and we drilled a couple holes and ran some screws in with big washers. This is a secure box. Nothing's going to happen to that. The fish is fastened really securely to the rock and driftwood display, and so it's in there nice and sturdy. And then what I like to do is take what do they call those things? Those two-part foam in a bag that you smash them. You get them from any packing company. We get them from Uline. We put one in here and pop it and let it swell up, and put one back here. And it doesn't swell quite as much as your 3-pound mannequin foam. It won't damage anything, and it'll hold that real securely. Some people take the foam in a can and put a plastic bag. That works good too.
How do you charge for crates?
We charge by the lumber. These things are pretty fast to make, so we probably have $50 in a box. But figure your materials, as always. Figure out how much that it takes for you to build that. Our people are pretty fast. I would say Joe can build this in 15 minutes and have it up here ready for us to put the fish in. Figure out that and what's your markup, 35-40% on your box. And then add the shipping in with that. And
so a lot of people look for taxidermists, hunters and fishermen look for taxidermists that are in their area, but really you can create just about anything, so you don't really have to.
We create a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And rarely rarely do we have things damaged. We have had before. And then make sure it's insured. I think we insured this fish for $500. And so that should cover if anything happened and it got destroyed. The box is secure, so if we have to collect on it, it would cover a new fish, you know, if it was beyond repair, and, you know, remounting it, putting on a new base and that sort of thing. The crocodile, he's doesn't look like he's come far, but I actually, we spent some time doing seams on him and doing a lot of cosmetic work. In addition, we showed him impression pads at one time, did we, I think?
I think we have, yeah.
In addition, yesterday, he has some really nice skin textures, and even if I'm not gonna need them, on this project, I took rubber latex and I painted rubber latex on here and then put burlap in it and another coat of rubber latex, and this morning I peeled off half a dozen really nice texture pads, which will give you perfect texture that you can press into epoxies or Bondos and that sort of thing. So just because he had such nice skin textures that someday you're gonna want that sort of thing.
He's got them all over.
What else we got? That's it for here. Today I think what we're gonna show you, you saw us working on the leopard, and we're gonna proceed with the leopard. I think we told you we were gonna do the log, and Amber was sculpting on the pose for the leopard and kind of getting it formatted. And I'm gonna move this stuff out and let these two guys bring this leopard in here out front, and we'll show you how we proceed from here. Now every so often you're gonna get, oops, am I gonna move your things here, Matt?
But yeah, you can move whatever.
Every so often you're going to have customers that want something that you can't buy, something completely out of the ordinary. This is the photo we had to work with is a leopard that is at rest, laying on a log. I don't know of any place we can buy a mannequin like this, and especially a mannequin that's going to fit. So that's our first job, is to transform a leopard form into what we want pose-wise, and then he has to be on something that conforms, and so that's the next job. So you got two big major components here to work with. And Amber, why don't you tell them what you did? I think they saw a little bit last week, but kind of explain how you got this far.
Well, I don't know. I think we just had the leopard up on a stick right now, just on
mounting stand or something?
Yep, on some prongs or a mounting stand. So I'll just go ahead and pop this guy off of here so you can kind of take a look. We took the cat and got an idea as far as length and measured him as far as how far out from the wall he would need to be at different parts, and just started off with just a nice oval back thicker piece of plywood. This is 3/4 inch plywood.
Yeah.
Yep. And then just cut it so we had access to the inside, and put this board in here temporarily just to be able to put it on a mounting stand. So that was just a good starter size, about, you know, something that would go across several braces in your wall to be able to get it secured well for weight wise. This is a big piece, and with the materials we're using, we're trying to keep it as lightweight as we possibly can, but it's gonna end up weighing a little bit of weight. So you wanna make sure that you have enough depth and enough width to be able to support that on your wall well. So after we got the plywood shape, then build out a couple of armatures that kind of came out horizontally away from the wall for the cat to be able to sit on. There is a piece of wood in here that would go underneath the cat's belly for support, but there's just a couple of armatures that come out from this piece of plywood to be able to support it. And then just proceeded with wire. And this is the kind of wire that we use. You can get this at mostly any hardware store. You could use different kinds of wire. There's all sorts of different wire. This is what we use. It works really nice. Be careful because the edges get really, really sharp when you cut it. So you'll just have to be
Quarter-inch
ginger with
hardware
it.
cloth is what that is called.
1/4 inch,
Hardware cloth, yes.
okay? And
Eighth
it's
is-
nice, it's nice and stiff, so it can really hold its shape well. Some people, you can use thinner stuff, but you wanna make sure whatever you use can hold shape, because otherwise it'll just become a big floppy mess. So this stuff is really nice and rigid.
The 1/8 inch is much nicer to work with, friendly wise, but extremely expensive.
Right, right. So then we just kind of started in the back here, stapling it around with our air stapler, and then proceeded to bend and wrap it around to create different shapes. You don't have to get anything real specific to what you want, because as soon as we get this whole thing, as soon as we had it all covered, then we took and we covered it with foam. Now, the problem with pouring foam over this kind of screen is it'll just run right through. So we went ahead and took some paper pulp and broke it up real nice so it's nice and fine. And you can mix this right in with your regular 3-pound density foam, and it'll give it a little bit of substance so it doesn't try to run through. It'll stay more on top, and then you can have more of a spreadable kind of material so it doesn't just run right through. It will still go through the screen a little bit, but it's not going to just completely pass it by. So do we want to do a
Sure,
little bit of
sure,
that
let's
just
do
to kind of give them a
Show them how you
idea?
mix it.
And this foam is a 2-part foam, so we'll just, I've got it measured out here in equal increments. Put on some gloves.
We have a lot of people saying hello from Oregon, Arizona, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa,
Wow.
Missouri, Pennsylvania. I feel like I'm doing 50 nifty United States. North Carolina. Hello, everybody. We are in Northwest Iowa here at Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company.
Okay, so I just mixed up 2 equal parts of the A and B of the foam. Just
And
kind
this
of
is
give
the
it a
same
quick
foam
mix.
that the mannequins are made of.
And I just mixed it enough until all of it is mixed and there isn't a bunch of swirls in there. Just take some of that paper pulp. It's really, really lightweight, so it'll try to stay on the top. And you don't want to dilly-daddle a whole lot. It kind of seems like this part goes pretty quickly once you get going.
And what's your working time?
I don't know, maybe a couple of minutes or a minute before it starts to foam. And then,
Then you gotta go.
yep, then you gotta go. And I'm trying to make sure that it gets mixed up real well here, but you can see it's really thickened it up and it's not quite expanding yet. It might be just getting ready to start here pretty soon. So you can kind of pick and choose how much you want to add. And it looks like it is starting to go a little bit now. So then you can just take and put it on. And you can see how it just kind of stays right up on the top. Now you can go ahead and just spread it out and not have to worry about it just falling right through all of those cracks on the foam
Get on my clean floor.
and get on your clean floor. There's a paper down. And you could just move it with your hands too. I'm trying not to do that.
So you could do this whether you were making rocks or trees
Mhm.
or any kind of a core for your habit cover.
Alabama, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Dakota, Minnesota, Canada, Wisconsin, South
Isn't that a
Carolina.
Johnny Cash song?
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So that's about what we did throughout this entire thing. So even over on the other side here, this is what it all looked like. And then once it dries, it kind of gets this underneath here. You can kind of see how it's kind of that bubbled kind of look, that's what we just got done doing. So this is stuff that we had done prior, hasn't been carved at all, but that's what it'll look like. And now it's got a good thick, not super thick, but thick enough to where you can go ahead and carve it with a Sawzall or any kind of saw or a knife or anything to create the shapes and different things that you want. So that's what we'll go ahead and do next, is go ahead and carve some to kind of get some of these different shapes in here. So like on this side where you can see it's got some different depressions where we had created for the wood, that was actually carved somewhat into the foam to kind of give your basic shape to start it off, so that the Bondo could do the rest. So you want to get it kind of pretty close, because you don't want to leave a lot up to your Bondo to do, otherwise you'll end up putting it on too thick. It'll get real heavy.
Size and weight were a concern, and everything seems to grow.
Yeah.
It gets bigger, so you start out with the screen, the perfect size that you want, only to have twice the size of log or rock.
Yeah, think small when you're doing your framework.
Does it
because
carve
will grow.
easy with the paper mixed in the foam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't seem to make it any harder or anything like that. It's still really good and strong. It doesn't seem to have weakened it at all. It's just a good nice filler to make it so that it's a little bit more workable and doesn't get out of control and run all over the place with the screen. So now that
was a good opportunity to sell your black gloves.
Yeah, those gloves are really nice. There was a couple of points where I hit some of these wires. You want to be really careful because those wires are ultra sharp. But I caught my glove on it a couple of points and it didn't rip it open, which normally it would, and you'd end up with foam all over your hands. So yeah, those gloves they're nice.
So we're changing something a little different this week on live that we're going to give you guys, but we're going to start the products that we really focus on during live, we're going to offer 10% automatically on after live and then into Friday. So you guys will have an opportunity to go online, and the girls have actually put a collection together that we get so many calls the next day. Oh, what were they using? What tool was this? Well, we now have a collection of your products. So you can go on there, hit the collections part and see all the products that they talk about. So we'll kind of, urethane foam was one, these black gloves will now be added. We're just kind of doing something to get to you guys. And, can you grab that Twix bar?
What if they find a teepin on the table or something? See,
No,
we saw
I mean,
it
it's
live.
things, it's products that we're focusing on. The 10th one to use the code will get this huge Twix
Holy
bar.
Twix bar.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so that's just an added bonus. That we're
Diabetes
doing.
in a box.
I keep wanting to open it. It's been sitting by my desk for a week. But yeah, so kind of stay tuned for that. And we have a couple new things that are coming out at the end. But that's one thing. So if you have something, make sure you go to our website and you can click on it and get the 10% off.
Okay, now you got a weapon in there.
We have a question.
Sure.
Do you want to
When
No.
do catalogs begin?
You're carving your tree.
Give me a break, Logan. I don't know. They should be here anytime.
You should have had them a week ago, but
Well, I
think
feel like
so.
this week they're supposed to be delivered. Obviously,
That
East
one.
Coast, West Coast, you're going to be later than everyone else. But they should be anytime.
today.
Anytime. We got ours and they look awesome. But you guys are going to have to wait for yours. They should be anytime. Keep being patient. It's worth the wait.
Now, have a little, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a little chunk of reference too, as you're doing this.
So now, I think we're just gonna kind of rough carve it a little bit. So this is in 3 different phases of or 4 different phases, I guess, of the process of what Amber had started. So she started here, got it foamed up, covered it with Bondo, and did some paint work. So we're gonna move up here into this hardened foam. I don't think this is
Not quite
that's-
yet.
It's close, but you're just kind of looking for a rough shape. You're not trying to get too detailed, but if you want to make sure that you have the contours that you're looking for here, so we'll try to continue some of this along this line. Amber's already got some nice lines coming in here, so you'll see this, and this is a pretty fine, this is a hacksaw blade. You could probably go to something more coarse. cuts really nice. I think you're just going to kind of be creative here. You don't really want to take all of your texture out. I think some of the way this foam rises is a little bit random and helps add some character. So we won't take all of that out. But for now, these little handheld sawzalls work really well to get started, but you can also go to like a foam rasp or the stout rougher, or I should say foam rougher. Either one of these work really well.
Amber was over here nodding her head.
And we can just kind of work on some shapes this way too. And all of this foam still has the paper pulp in it. This works really well to get in there and get some detail going. And if you want to have depth, like this great depth that she's got carved here, probably work that in extra deep, because you're going to still have a layer of Bondo on top of that. So anytime you think you want to have some depth, do it double deep, just to make sure you have room. And how thick would you say you put the Bondo on average?
It's usually not very, I'd say maybe about a quarter of an inch or something like that. If you get much, I mean, you could go as thick as you need to. It's not gonna hurt it at all. It's just gonna add
adding
weight.
weight,
Yeah, and with a piece this big, that's a major concern.
Bondo is 14 pounds a can.
You're right. Holy cow. And incidentally, how many cans do you have so far on this?
That
You're
is
halfway through.
1.5 cans.
1.5. So that's not bad. That's not bad for weight yet. But I won't go too far with this because it's probably loud and annoying on the camera. But this just kind of gives you some idea of how easy this foam is to shape. And I think the next step is getting some Bondo on it.
And you know, this is a massive log that we're doing also. Don't start out with something like this. Start out with something for a squirrel or wood duck, and build yourself up as you realize how easy this is to do. And I mean, there is a lot of labor involved, but your wood will start looking more like wood, and the more practice you get, and have a piece of wood, of real wood that you're trying to copy, just like reference for a deer head or a bird eye or whatever you'd be trying to recreate. Have wood reference, and start little and build yourself up, and pretty soon you'll be doing giant black bear trees and things like that. But it is a pretty good method, and reasonably inexpensive, and you can kind of create something that you can't buy.
You can always incorporate real elements into it too.
We do that all the time, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of helps break it up a little bit.
See, now by taking this big tree, by taking a real branch and having a real branch down here with maybe some twigs and leaves incorporated into this, I mean, adds so much realism, you can't believe it. It's really impressive to do.
We have a lot of people sharing already, so make sure we have a giveaway at the end every week. So make sure you like and share our video for a chance to be in that, and let us know that you shared it. Because a lot of times the privacy setting will not show us that you shared it, so you have to comment shared and like and share. And we'll pick a winner at the very end, so stay tuned.
For the big Twix bar?
All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just taking just straight auto body putty. And this is lightweight, that's why it's a little bit lighter in color than a lot of them. So that's why it looks a little bit different. For the hardener, we are using a white hardener. which we have downstairs, which is very, very nice whenever you're making any kind of wood, because white or this color, it's gonna keep it that same Bondo kind of gray or auto body kind of gray color, and it's gonna be a lot easier for you to color than if it were that bright blue color.
And you could pre-color it too if you wanted to.
Yes, you
right?
can. Yep. So any kind of coloring that you can do prior is really helpful. It'll help you in the end. You won't have to work so hard for it. The only thing I would say is just be really, really cautious and make sure that you mix this stuff up ultra good, because that white hardener, it's white. You can't tell. You can't see it, so you're not going to be able to tell if you've got spots that don't have it mixed up in it.
Approximately what percent of a quote would a base like this be? Is there a general rule of thumb? This is another money losing type of situation. How do you quote that?
You're gonna have to, with experience and with doing these, you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're gonna have into it. Figure out what you're gonna have into it. Material wise, we're probably gonna have $50 for the foam, we're gonna have $50 for the auto body putty, so we're gonna have $150 to $200 worth of materials. And I'm gonna say, with Amber doing it, she could probably complete this ready for the leopard in 3 days, 2 days. If we really crack the whip, a couple days, but you know, you also want to have time to play and to add little branches and things like that. You don't want to have a time limit to where it's got to be done within an hour. But you could end up with a $500 to $700 log like this or more.
So you're using water on top of that to smooth it out?
What this is just your regular lacquer thinner, just the everyday stuff, not the slow or the expensive stuff. And what it does is it really smooths it out so that you can go ahead and get some of those textures. And this is just one of our chip brushes, our 1-inch chip brush. And it's just grainy enough of bristles on it that you can get good texture just by letting the bristles on the brush do the work for you. And just kind of let the brush add the character. If you want a few cut-ins, kind of like what I did there, I just kind of pushed a little bit harder. You know, if you want a swirl to kind of come around, you can just kind of come that way. Say we'll divide up the grain.
Can you use acrylic paint to color the Bondo?
Yes, yep. That's acrylic, latex. I think just about anything really works on it. It's whatever
Oil paints, we use
method.
oil paints a lot. Lacquer paints will blend well.
What
No.
do you use for pre-color?
That's what I was saying, pre-color.
Yeah, you can do oil or could you do
Lacquer paint?
lacquer?
Works good, yeah.
Yep, and just mix it right in.
And she'll show you in a little bit here how she paints them, and that will be with latex paint.
Got me to do one more?
Sure.
A little bit.
You're doing so good.
So you don't want to do too big of sections at a time, because putting the lacquer thinner on the Bondo and smoothing it out that way will slow it down a little bit, but not a lot. So once it starts to go, it's going. You don't want to mix up a gigantic amount and then not be able to control it. Otherwise, you're just going to end up going right over it again to get good texture, which defeats the whole keeping it lightweight if you're having to do layer over layer over layer. So I'm only mixing up about a cup's worth at a time here. And as you can see, I'm not really messing around, just trying to get it mixed up real well and then get it put on. And I don't have to be real exact about where the Bondo goes, because I'll let the brush kind of push it around to where I need it to be. And in the beginning, this is gonna feel weird, but with a little bit of practice, you can make just about anything you want. And it's not just for making it from scratch. This is the same way we connect driftwoods. So like on the artificial driftwood that we get, sometimes we don't have a piece available that's quite big enough or that's the right shape. You can get two of the artificial ones and put them together. I think we did a video on that, didn't you?
And rocks, we do rocks this way too.
Yep.
Kind of our go-to material.
Where would the taxidermy industry be without it?
So this up here, this is our stuff before. It's starting to get there to where it's kicking, and I don't want to disturb it too much, otherwise it's going to get chunky.
So your working time with it was 7-8 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, something like that, I would guess. It all depends on how, you know, how
Yeah.
hot you mix your Bondo mixture.
Do you like it mixed hot, or would you rather have it a little?
I would rather have it slow whenever doing this, I guess, just because I want the working time. I'd rather it kind of like this first batch isn't even set and I'm already mixing up my second batch. That's all right with me, because then I can blend the two together if I need to. It's not a bad idea to have a garbage sitting right below you. Right here, you can see we've got paper down here, because you will end up with lacquer drips that come off of your brush, or a little bit of excess Bondo that might accidentally slide off. But it's a good idea to have a garbage right below you, so you can even shake out your brush. If you get too much lacquer on it, sometimes it can make your Bondo a little mushy, so sometimes it's not even a bad idea to give your brush just a couple shakes.
Do you ever have to worry about the Auto Buddy flaking off big chunks from the foam?
Nah.
Is it because you're doing the lacquer thinner connection to it, bonding to it?
I don't,
It's just strong.
it's strong. Yeah, this is, yeah, that's some good,
It's not like mache or plasters, any of the bases, you know, a lot of people used to do mache and plasters. I got away from that a long time ago because it always chips.
right, eventually it'll
No, this is strong.
give way. This is good, strong material.
It is the top of the hour, so we're gonna announce our two winners from last week's sharing our video. If you want, we have two awesome photo books. We have calipers and an angle grooming brush for the giveaway. And it goes to, you have 20 minutes to chime in to Dwight Rhines from Indiana or Josh Betterton from Texas. First one to chime in will get to pick a bag and your angle grooming brush. I think it fell off when you guys moved.
Oh.
But chime in. If they don't chime in, then it goes to one of our Lucky Live viewers.
These are awesome, awesome photos.
Show them a little bit of those. Those are.
I mean, this is the ear book, but I mean, look at the eye rotation in there, the nictitating membrane. You know, these are pretty, look at the ear muscles, the wrinkles in the ears.
And these are all combination of lacy cones and Matuska taxidermy pictures. But they have awesome, that's the ear one, we have awesome nose one, and eyes as well. It has a protective cover, 24 photos.
Good pictures.
Who was the giveaway winners again?
It is Dwight Rhines from Indiana or Josh Betterton from Texas.
First one.
The first one to chime in, and if they don't, then it goes to a live viewer. So remember to share the video, because we'll take the shares from this week's video and we'll pick one next Thursday. So you have, even if you're watching late because you can't watch us live, you have until Thursday morning, afternoon to share our video.
I can share, I can share.
Like and share, like and share, like and share. Lots
Hearts
of
and
bubbles.
bubbles, hearts and thumbs and all that stuff. So now, you're gonna let that set up that's on the bottom
Yep.
until it's good and dry?
Yeah, right now, when you smooth it out with the lacquer thinner, it has a little bit of residue that sticks around for a while. So I wouldn't try to paint it right away. I'd let it sit. You could put a fan on it, that might help dry it up a little bit quicker. But yeah, I would let it sit for a little bit, at least until that residue. Otherwise, it's just going to get mixed in with your paint.
And now your
So-
shaping's done. Don't rely on your Bondo for your shape. I mean, or for carving anyway, you know. You
Right.
carve the foam, your texture and everything is with the brush.
Yep.
And your swirls.
And you could use other tools. You could use any kind of different spatulas or whatever you want to be able to get the correct grooves and cuts in there. If you can't get it with your brush, then you can go ahead and get in there with a tool and carve
And
it
we
out.
may get this all done and think it's too overpowering in one end or another, and you can cut through that Bondo a little bit
Sure.
and
Go
trim
right
it
over.
down and re-Bondo right over it, re-auto body putty right
I
over
hope
it.
you don't.
But we don't.
I hope you don't.
Amber, did you have to use any special tools to get these cool textures that you've got on top?
You know, I think I did have just any kind of carving tool or modeling tool, even something like this. I believe I did have, so I could come back in and get in some of these deeper grooves if you want anything like that. But sometimes you can even get those little foldovers by running your brush here and then pushing with your brush over the top, and it kind of lays the Bondo over. So it just all depends if you're working with it. That's why you want to mix it light, so you have that time to experiment and play with it.
And we keep using the term Bondo. We're not actually using
Yeah,
Bondo.
not Bondo.
We're using auto body putty.
Yeah.
Auto body putty filler, lightweight. We carry Auto Body Master, and Bondo is actually a brand name,
Right.
which works also.
Yep. So this is just some pre-mixed paint that we had, just regular latex house paint, basically. And I already have a color kind of mixed up that's a good base color for our driftwoods. So we're just gonna go ahead, and it's kind of been thinned out a little bit with water, but I think we'll probably thin it out a little bit as we go. So I'm gonna keep a little cup here with me of water, and just kind of, basically we're just doing a thin wash to let this kind of go down in all the cracks and kind of get us started. If you get it too thin, it's just gonna bubble away from the Bondo, and it won't, or away from your auto body putty, and it won't stick. So you can kind of see here where it's separating. So all that's telling you is that your paint is too thin. You gotta add a little bit more straight paint to get it so it'll color nicely. And like I said, this has been thinned out a little bit, so we got some working time, so you can just kind of cover good size sections at a time. I think I did the rest of that end of that log in 3 different parts when I did this, so you can cover quite a bit at a time. And just make sure you get it down in all your cracks and grooves and stuff, because any spots that you miss are gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And it's not a bad idea to have an apron on at this point, because it could be messy with some paint splatters and things like that.
So this is just your base color.
Yep, just kind of working it down into all the grooves.
You're not worried about it being one solid color right now, are you?
Nope, I'm gonna wipe it off here.
I got you.
Oh,
And you start with a dark base and go to light.
yes, yep. I'd rather start darker, and then as I wipe off, you'll kind of tell why. And you don't have to just do the wipe, you can kind of blot it off too. But that color will kind of sit down in, and if you start wiping and you wipe off a little bit too much, you can always come back in and hit a few spots and say, whoops, I didn't mean to wipe off quite that much. Because you want the different colors on your wood to kind of help pop that texture, and that's really what this is doing. It's just kind of taking whatever texture you made and making it, accenting it with colors. And right there, right along our seam of where I finished painting the one day and now I'm painting today. I'm just gonna kind of darken that up to help kind of blend it in.
Brian Harris wants to know if you've ever done a live video demonstration of making a mold of a real copy of bluegill. And that is right up Tom Matuska's alley.
Yeah.
We do a lot of them.
We haven't done a video, but you have all the stuff to definitely
Sure.
do it. We've done it at shows for seminars,
Mhm.
but yeah, we can definitely.
That's a involved one. It would take about 3 sessions probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do that.
Coming soon to you, Brian.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll give us a good base to start. Now, it's not a bad idea to let this dry. We're putting it on and kind of wiping it off real quickly, so you don't really have to give it a bunch of time to dry in between. But it's best if you do have the time to just let it be for a few minutes. I think I can probably come in here and with my next colors and start highlighting. So, unless you got something to.
I always got stuff,
You
but I
always
can take my time. We do have some fun. AJ Steve Miller says, this video been becoming my addiction on Thursdays. We have Mark Drexler. I order 90% of my supplies from Matuska's. Always polite and extremely helpful service on the phone, fast delivery on all my orders. What more could I ask for? My favorite place to order from. Plus extra bonus of candy. Makes my wife happy when the orders come. That's our goal. Happy wife, happy life.
We have the best products. We have the best service. We have the friendliest staff. We have everything. We really do.
We do.
And candy.
Yeah. Jeff Speck got his piece that you actually did your trout on
I saw
and
that.
put that on. Looked very nice.
That's a big crappie.
And that was he won that off of live.
Was that a crappie? Big crappie, like an
Yeah.
18-incher? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so good work on that, Jeff. We got some, so again, the winners from last week's shares are Dwight Rhines or Josh Betterton. One of you, if you are watching, chime in. Otherwise, we're gonna have to pick a winner here shortly. We do have some new fun, well, not new fun, but good stocking stuffer things. So these are great Christmas ideas. I'm thinking hunters or people out, say you got your deer and all of a sudden your hands are caping with a knife and the deer and you can't hold your phone, or you're ice fishing.
Ice fishing. This is
Ice fishing and your phone light goes in the hole and you're in trouble. But these are lighted. We have
These are
them.
the new luminol lights. Is that what it is? Luminol? I think from blood tracking? Yeah.
The power caps go up, down, or
And there's a
forward. Yeah.
squeezer on there.
Running, if you're a runner, you have a runner in the family and they want to stay safe and see where they're going so they're not Brent
All
Stewart
right.
and slip on a rock.
I don't want to interrupt, but I'm coming to work, and I come to work in the dark in the morning. And I'm driving down the road in back of the shop here, and there's a red blinking light in front of me. And I'm thinking, it's off the back of a bike. And then I start looking. I pull over and I go out and get it, and there's the light, and I start looking for bike tires somewhere or a runner. And it was dark, and I couldn't find the person, but I found his light. Blinking.
Oh my goodness. Did you?
That's not good.
That's not good.
Well, you know,
Now-
he could still be out there somewhere,
Yeah.
you know?
If
He
they
might
would have had these hats on, you would
He
have
might
found
have
them
crawled to
faster.
the dredge ditch and I didn't look far enough. But I got his light. It's a nice little
But,
light.
so those hats we're gonna throw on the 10% off for tomorrow. Those hats are, your beanie hats are $16.50 for the camo and $15.95 for the black. Great running hats, ice fishing, hunting, you name it.
And the
And the
red light.
power caps are $18.95. Those will both be on the sale for tomorrow night as well.
That red light, I thought, oh, it doesn't work. This doesn't, no, it doesn't. This doesn't, no, it doesn't.
Not just a lighter color.
Yep. So this bit that I'm putting on now, I just took a little bit of a grayish tint. I wanted to kind of get away from it being such a brown, straight brown color.
I like your
So,
Castro hat a lot.
I'm just adding in a little bit of gray. Notice I'm not using the top of the brush, I'm using the side. So whenever you're doing this highlighting, if you take and really, really rub it out to where there's not much paint in it, it's very, 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 very minimal. And then go ahead and take on the side of your brush, it's gonna hit all those high ridges, and you're basically gonna let the texture do the coloring for you. You don't have to be the artist and try to figure out where all of the lines and things like that. You're gonna let the texture of the Bondo do the coloring and deciding for you. So that's why it's really important to pay attention when you're doing all your texturing with your Bondo, because that really is what's gonna determine everything else. Some of the other colors I just kind of played around with. Took a little bit of a yellow, more of a yellow highlight. And again, you can kind of do this in bits and pieces so that it's not all over. If you look at a lot of driftwoods and logs and branches, different things, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's not a bad idea to just, grab a branch. If you're making a branch, grab a branch from outside, have it sitting by you. Look at the colors, look at the textures. It's hard to recreate something if you don't know what it looks like.
Can you do a close-up of Amber's pink colors?
Yeah.
We need to brand Amber's paint colors into the market for people.
That's a little difficult because Amber mixes and matches.
I
kind of mix.
So it'd be a weekly color scheme.
So it's kind of a little bit of everything. This is a nice kind of a red color. This is in one of your rock painting kits.
You're gonna have to
But it's
pause
kind
the
of
video, take it to Sherman-Williams, and
Yeah.
have them match it.
it's kind of nice to be able to just have these different colors and try it, put it on something, and then let it dry. Take a look at it. Might need a little bit more yellow.
And if it looks bad,
and
it'll wipe off or
add some
wash
yellow.
off with water, or you can paint over it.
Tom is wearing our new Flex Fit Matuska Taxidermy hats. Those are $25.95 online and also 10% off through
And
online.
I learned this from Bubba Sell. Bubba Sell, whenever he went fishing, had these, so he never dropped his glasses in the water. Little strap.
That's what you learned from me.
And how to fish, of course.
But yes, these new Flex Fit hats are online now. They'd be great Christmas presents. Brent, you'll be expecting one Christmas. But you can find them.
I'm not a hat person, much, but they brought these out and everybody's raving about their flex fit. They're flexible,
comfy.
kind of like I gotta wear pants like that now. I have to have the flex fit pants. They're like really comfortable.
I do too.
But
Comfy pants.
but look at that. Look at that. I
Thanksgiving
mean,
pants.
big heads fit, little heads fit, all heads fit. It's new
It's not new.
and cool.
You're a little late to the party.
New to me.
Oh, man. All right, you need to pick a number, sir, because they did not chime in.
Oh man, those poor people. One and what?
Let's see, we have 94 viewers. We're at 160. Let's do number between 1 and 40.
1 and 40. Here it is.
Ooh, easy one. All right, people. So to start guessing, to win one of the photo books, an angled grooming brush, or a calipers. Start guessing 1 to 40, and the first one that we see, remember it's a little delayed, we get a lot of guesses at the same time. The first one that we see come through is who we will choose to pick their bag. So start guessing.
I don't know, that's about all I got as far as doing some of the different textures. Just play around with your colors and just really look. We've also had luck with putting some in spray bottles, and that works really nice too. to put some of your colors, your regular latex colors, really, really thinned out with water, and go ahead and put them into a spray bottle and try squirting it on, and then maybe doing your washes over the top after it all dries. Sponges work really good. Yes, those work really nice versus doing everything with a brush. It gives nice texture to your paint colors too.
And remember, this is one component. This is just one component of that base. You're gonna add a leopard. You're probably gonna add maybe some mosses or things like that, possibly some grasses,
Some branches.
maybe some vines, maybe some real branch with some leaves. It's kind of, this is just one component in amongst, you know, a whole lot of different things to add realism.
All right, so we have our winner, but before I announce the winner, for those of you tuning in, this is Thursday Live with Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, every Thursday at 4:30 Central Time. One of the things we're doing is the products that we are spotlighting and talking about specifically, we're going to put on 10% sale through tonight and through tomorrow night, so Friday. And we're gonna do it every week, so if you aren't watching it live, make sure you tune in so you can get a deal on the stuff. But an easy way to find what we're talking about is on our website, we have created a tab here that you just click the Facebook Live featured products, and then it's gonna take you to all the products. So all this stuff that you see here, urethane foam, the foam rougher, the foam rasp, the detail foam rougher, the black gloves, the white auto body putty hardener, coloring auto body putty, the chip brushes, the hats we talked about. We didn't talk about the water bottle, but we have a stainless steel water bottle that we threw on there. Yeah. It keeps stuff hot for 12 hours and cold for 24 hours. It's double lined and leak through lid. Very
This
fun.
time of year outside, it'll keep colder even more.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so you can go there for your easy 10% off. Next week, ooh, look at that pretty guy.
You know what, guys? This is gonna be nice.
What are you guys talking about
Pretty
next?
cool.
TBD.
Fish casting.
Well,
We got some fish work to do.
if somebody let me go fishing, not working all the time, maybe we could do that.
Oh, yeah. So our winner is John Block. You guessed the right number. We're gonna put stuff in here. And everybody gets bags. So John Black, pick your person. Pick your person. Pick your person that you would like their bag, and you will get what's inside. The rest goes on for a giveaway next week.
What's John Block say?
I don't know, but he's won before, so he has a good guessing technique.
Rapid fire, any numbers? Is that the guessing technique?
I don't know.
He did rapid fire, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's one way to do it. How fast can you type? So 4:30 every Thursday. You can go back and watch our videos that we've done. We've been doing it for over a year now. And you can go to our Facebook page and watch all those over again. One of the things too is make sure you're following us because it will alert you that we're live.
John picked Tom's bag.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Showing?
Oh. Angled grooming brush, John. Congratulations.
Can't run a taxidermy shop without many of these.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
for ears, good for faces, good for around antlers.
Yep.
Good choice. Good choice. There you go. Congratulations, John.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and make sure you like and share the video for next week for a chance to win. And we'll be back again.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.